YouTube, the Royal Pegasus Knights of Bretonnia welcome you to the battlefield, where we're going to be following a Bretonnia versus, I believe it was Vampire Counts. May have been von Karstein, but we'll see. So yeah, Bretonnia versus Vampire Counts. This, once again, I am recording in 1440p. If you don't see the 1440p available, it can take up to 12 to 24 hours from the time of upload until it becomes available. There's nothing I can do about that. I've spoken with YouTube. It just is what it is. And I am recording with Shadowplay now, because for whatever reason, XSplit is giving me trouble with 1440p recordings. So yeah, using Shadowplay to do the recording, it seemed like it was working nice and smooth. So I got two Grail Knights out here, and they are protecting their Fey Enchantress, who, like I said, I think she's my favorite lord available for Bretonnia, just because of the healing and the other abilities. She has an ability too that's kind of like a lighter version of a Mortis Engine. Takes away attack and damages people. Royal Pegasus Knights quickly becoming a favorite unit. I got 3 foot squires, 1 men-at-arms, 4 peasant mob, 2 peasants with fire arrows, and I'm up against a vampire army that has 2 blood knights, black coach, Vargulf, 2 zombies, 3 graveguard, a Cairn Wraith, and then the red duke. Right here, I wanted to disrupt the charge of the vampire army. The vampires don't have a good charge anyway, and the foot squires have an excellent charge. So a quick charge from my Pegasus Knights basically gets the Vargulf and the coach distracted, where they can't do most of their damage, and I'm able to get in here. And then I'm playing a little bit of cat and mouse out here. I'm trying to get the Blood Knights to waste their charge on a peasant mob to give my Grail Knights a better chance of trying to turn that fight. And of course the Pegasus Knights are meant to support my Grail Knights too, because I know that one-on-one they struggle versus Blood Knights. And my opponent forgets the Vargulf, so I start hitting him with some flaming arrows. And I'm going to go ahead and double back the black coach. So again, my opponent is very much focused his micro over here, and he's making a mistake, and I'm going to capitalize on it. His black coach sat still, and his Vargulf is sitting still. Huge mistakes here. My opponent should have been able to plow through the peasants and try and get to my archers, or get into the back of my infantry fight here, one way or the other. The black coach is going to get wrecked. Over here, my opponent is trying to use zombies to counter my peasant mob to take away the charge. But I'm sending in more peasant mob just to pin down his summoned zombies. So I'm trying to counter the Raise the Dead to the best of my ability. Losing a few of my foot squires here, probably terror from the Cairn Wraiths, or maybe me shooting them in the back. At this point the Vargulf starts to suffer because it's taking fire arrows, and then out here I immediately drop a regrowth spell as soon as my knights get into combat. And then I'm going to swing the Pegasus Knights back this way as soon as they finish off the Vargulf. I was able to get a very good charge and do a lot of damage. The lady is quite safe, and she got hit by El Sif, but the Red Duke can't get to her because he's not a flying unit. So, still quite safe at the moment. And this is going to be the knife, or the wooden stake, in the undead heart of the vampires here. The Pegasus Knight's getting a clean charge from behind. And the Vampire Count trying very hard. I think he's using a Curse of Years. Yep. It's not a bad idea. It's going to hurt my knights badly, but it's too late. I've done immense damage to his Blood Knights, and now with the Pegasus Knights I can overwhelm him. My opponent's winning the infantry fight on this flank, but I'm just piecemeal throwing Peasant Mob into the fight just to kind of hold him. See, I keep bringing the Peasant Mob back. All the while my archers have been safe, and this melee blob over here has stayed in combat, and this Grail Relic has helped out as well. Yeah, my knights being able to wipe out his Blood Knights pretty much means that I can swing this battle in my favor. Now here, this Raise the Dead, I don't know, it came a little bit later here, but definitely this is something you want to use a lot sooner in a cavalry fight, because all these Raise the Dead block the enemy cavalry from being able to get to your men, to your Blood Knights. Yeah, you can see the peasant bows here actually doing a pretty good job. 32 kills there, 36 kills. And my peasant mob was just very effective at keeping vampires from easily getting to my peasant archers. And then when the Red Duke is getting beat down over here, he crumbles, and then the rest of the vampire army is going to crumble. The only thing that's going to be left is a unit of zombies that he summoned up at the last second trying to save himself. So this is going to be a pretty clean victory for Bretonnia. My opponent made some very critical mistakes here. If you're going to bring a black coach and you're going to bring the Vargulf, the black coach has to get into my infantry, and it has to be moving, and if it can get down the side of an infantry line, it can be quite effective. So just as an example, let's go over here and talk through it real quick. I had an infantry line roughly in this position, If his black coach would have ignored my Grail Knights in main line and focused coming down this flank, I would have had a lot less. I mean, I still would have had to bring my Pegasus Knights after him, but it would have wanted to get an angle like that down the side of my infantry line. And then the Vargulf would have probably been best used, maybe thrown towards my Grail Knights, and then the Invocation into Heck. The Vargulf is anti-armor, I believe. You know, I'd be at a little bit of danger, but he needed more support in the fight against my Grail Knights, and he just wasn't able to get it. But then you had the Peasant Archers the whole time too, which typically Raise the Dead shuts that down, but since my opponent went on the ground, and again, that's why I brought the Royal Pegasus Knights, right? If the Vampire puts their single Lord up in the air, and you have the Pegasus Knights, they are in huge trouble. If the Vampire count puts their, and I'll show you why, actually. Let's go take a look at that real quick. Battles. Let's do a custom battle. I'm going to swap it up where the AI is an attacker. And, oh, the UI is kind of small. We can adjust that real quick. Let's go into the options. I think it's under graphics options. UI scale. There we go. That's probably better. Going to the custom battle here. Yeah, it's a little better. Still kind of small, but... Battles... Let's try 140. Yeah, that's probably more like what we're used to. Okay, so yeah, if we want to look at it in a custom battle here, if I take, I'll take the Bretonnian side of things. So let's say that, for instance, she did have the Fey Enchantress and she's on the ground, and I'll just give kind of a quick example of what she might be bringing to the battle. Probably be, I don't know, let's just say that she has all this stuff. And if I go over here and pick the Vampire counts, and let's just say that, for instance, they take a Red Duke up in the air, and I'm just going to throw a couple of units on the ground just so they have a couple of units. And the Vampire and the Bretonnians have the Pegasus Knights, the Royal Pegasus Knights to be more specific. This is not going to be a full army type example, but it would give you an example now. Why would the Red Duke be the sole air? Well, back in the day, before Pegasus Knights became more of a danger in the air due to their anti-large, it was not all that uncommon for a Vampire count to have a single caster flying around up in the air, because that single caster... Oh crap, I forgot to put him in the air. Let's do that real quick. It wasn't that uncommon for them to do it because they could outrun pretty much any unit that was going to be any threat to them, like a Griffin. You know, maybe an Eagle could chase them down, but there wasn't a whole lot of units who could catch the Vampire in the air. And I think that that's the reason why you would see that kind of thing. So if we took the Red Duke, let's say, for instance, that these were the items that the Duke could bring. And we'll just throw them in here and just give you an example of how the Red Duke can't... The AI probably won't try and run away, but I'm just going to show you the stats and prove to you the AI is probably dumb enough to just go headlong with you. Let's just do like one Pegasus Knight as an example, as one Pegasus Knight. Oh look, I even put him on a dragon. I did the wrong thing. Yeah, I shouldn't be on a dragon. But whatever, we'll do a separate test. How useful are the Royal Pegasus Knights? Let's see how they 1v1 a Red Duke on a dragon.
Pegasus Knights! It shall be done!
Fey Enchantress.
Especially if they get support, because the Vampire count can use Invocation into Heck too. This is, yeah, I mean, obviously on a Hellsteed he would be faster, but the Pegasus Knights, their speed is like 105, which I think is slightly faster than the Hellsteed. They're doing pretty darn good up against this dragon. Look at the damage the Pegasus Knights can do on the charge.
Pegasus Knights!
Awaiting order! Sorceress! Forthwith!
Knights of Bretonnia!
Ready for battle!
Yeah, that dragon is struggling. Let's get out of here before we get too wrapped up. There we go. Should be able to get all of our Pegasi up in the air. Look how well that single unit can do.
Enchantress. Online. Quickly.
Pegasus Knights.
Your will.
Let's have a little fun here. Yeah, look how much damage one Royal Pegasus Knight can cause there.
Morgiana.
That's a dragon too, not a Hellsteed. So if they catch the Hellsteed, I think you all can see, and I'll try and show them. I'm just having fun here, seeing what I can do. See how much I can play with the vampires here, play with my food. Look at these Pegasus Knights, just wrecking the infantry.
Fey Enchantress. Send them below.
Now, obviously I'm using all my stuff here, but AI is the AI. I don't know, I just guess I'm having fun at this point. Not even serving a whole lot of purpose, to be honest. Let's shove all these vampires back to where my comet will hit them. Move! Pegasus Knights!
Hurry.
What do you mean? We are ready.
Wow, the Fey Enchantress is pretty awesome.
My vow.
Honor her.
Pegasus Knights.
Look at these Pegasus Knights, 54 kills and climbing.
Our lands. With haste.
I think we're about to crumble all the Graveguard.
Ready.
Yeah, see, Royal Pegasus Knights, they're, especially if they're getting support, I mean, they're pretty potent force in the air. They're nothing to be ignored.
Half a lady.
There you go. Crumbled out all the Graveguard.
The foe.
I shall her.
The Fey Enchantress is just a really cool unit. So yeah, okay, I thought this was going to really be a test against the Hellsteed, but here I'm just having fun using Pegasus Knights. Beautiful unit. Pegasus Knights are one of my favorite units that Bretonnia can field. These Royal Pegasus Knights are extremely cool. Don't underestimate these guys. I think they should be a core part of your Bretonnian army, depending on who your foe is. But they are anti-large, and they have very high charge bonus, and they're very fast. They're a little bit squishy in prolonged combat with certain things, but if you use their charge properly, and you're supporting them with like a Lore of Life type unit, you can get a huge amount of work done with these units. Let's watch the Fey Enchantress help finish off these last few zombies. Die, zombie! Anyway, yeah, so that's why Fey Enchantress, Royal Pegasus Knights, Grail Knights, Questing Knights, depending on who I go up against, like for instance, if I'm going up against the Dwarves, rather than, like, I like Fey Enchantress most of the time with Bretonnia, but if I was going up against the Dwarves, for instance, I wouldn't take the Grail Knights, they're more expensive. I would go ahead and just take Questing Knights. These guys are anti-infantry armored cavalry, and the Dwarves can't really field anything that's great against them, per se. So I usually would take the Questing Knights, say if I was going to go against the Dwarves, so maybe an army more like this, where you get some Foot Squires, Grail Relic. Pegasus Knights, though, are still going to be extremely handy, and you could choose to go with without the Royal Pegasus Knights if you wanted to. They cause magic damage, they have more charge bonus, they have more hit points, they're the same armor, same speed, but they also have greater melee attack, so, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, if you need to save a little bit of money. So, but I think that those types of units are, you know, going to be extremely handy. Like if I was in a large fun battle, for instance. Let's say that I was going up against Dwarves and I wanted to do something like this. So I got Questing Knights, great for crushing armored infantry. Fey Enchantress can help heal my folks to do more damage. Between the Pegasus Knights charge and the Questing Knights armor piercing, like I would probably just go ahead and maybe do this. One more Questing Knight, and then get some peasants to soak up you know, arrows or whatever else it is you need them to tank. You could even decide whether or not you needed all of these abilities through here. This one's definitely worth it because it takes away melee attack and causes damage to enemy near them. Magic resistance against the dwarves would be pointless, so there you go. You could get 4 peasant mob, and then you know, you could use them to try and keep stuff busy on the flanks or just, you know, tank extra hit points. They could be useful for a lot of things against the dwarves. So for instance, that might be a good anti-dwarf build with Bretonnia. Just a thought, but I do have a battle against dwarves. I'll try and show you that one at another point. Now I'm just kind of rambling because I'm having fun with this game. I have fun with this game. What do y'all think? Any thoughts on Bretonnia? So far, I'm definitely finding Bretonnia to be, like I said, I still think they're challenged by the vampires. I think they're very good against the dwarves. I like their chances against the beastmen, but I haven't gotten to test the beastmen versus Bretonnia a whole lot. I think Empire still holds the edge over Bretonnia. But, you know, again, Bretonnia has a lot of tricks up its sleeve now, too, which makes that an interesting matchup. Greenskins, I think, can be a tough matchup for Bretonnia if they're used properly. So I definitely would think Greenskins would be a tough challenge. And I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anybody. We got the Greenskins, Empire, Chaos. Chaos is probably more towards the bottom of the pack right there. They're not terrible, but it seems like a lot of other factions are getting better. And Chaos got quite a bit better over the last couple of patches, but this most recent one didn't really do a whole lot for them. So who knows? Anyway, interested to see your thoughts. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. See y'all soon.